No black cats, just straight facts.
Triple P certified.
Listen, we can talk about odds all day. It doesn't matter what the odds are. It matters what's gonna happen.
Welcome to the Parlay Pursuits. Dan will be here. I promise. Dan is on the way. But for now, Alex is here. The very unlikable Alex, the Euro Under King, the villain, the rigid villain. I'm here, guys. And if it looks like I'm disheveled, it's because I haven't gotten a lick of sleep. We'll get into why, the who, what, the when, the why, the where of the Sean Strickland versus Abbas Magomedov card, how that fared, how we fared. We had a wet and wild weekend. It's still in progress. It's 4th of July, baby. Happy 4th of July, Alex.
Happy July 4th. Happy Independence Day. Praise the troops. Praise Allah. Give everybody hugs and kisses. God bless the United States of America.
God bless the USA. Dan will be here soon. He's our podcast historian. He's our
well, I mean, we're both kind of historians in a way.
Yeah, well, he's, for sure. He's definitely an American specialist, though, an American history specialist. Excuse me.
My thing is, Luke, give Dan a little slack. I know he's running a little late here. It's his wedding week. He is bridezilla right now. He is allowed to be a little bit of a bridezilla every now and then.
Guys, when he comes on, just recognize if his energy's a little frazzled, if he seems a little bit stressed out, that's exactly what's going on. He's getting married this week, so give it up for Dan. If there ever were a time to subscribe to our Patreon, it would be now. And don't come in with a month-to-month. Come in with a full year. That will cover your seat. That will cover your plate. That will cover your food. And, be able to compensate the beautiful groom as he, goes into as he goes in. How about this? Any new subscribers, I will give all that money to Dan as a wedding present for this month. So if you want to subscribe and give Dan the Batman a wedding present, subscribe for a full year, and that money will go straight to Dan, okay? As a wedding present.
A caveat, if nobody signs up, Dan does not get a wedding gift this year from
if
either
nobody
of us.
Signs up, I will yell, I object at the wedding. And I'm in it. So I will, from the podium, I will go, I object. I've already promised to make the day not about me, which if you watch the show, you know how hard that will be. But I'm going to bite my tongue and I'm going to listen. I'm going to do an exercise in listening and question asking. That's going to be my MO throughout the wedding. But guys, if you know anything about me, there's one thing I love. It's UFC. There's two things I love. It's UFC and betting on it. If there's three things I love, it's friendship. And it's not necessarily in that order because I'm going to have to put friendship at the top of the list and miss a good portion of this juicy, sweet, succulent card, UFC 290, one of the best cards in a while. Volkanovski versus Rodriguez, a 14-fight card. If this were my wedding, I would – let's see. What time does the fight start? It starts at 7 – let's see, UFC start time. Google UFC start time.
10 o'clock for the main card, of course.
Main card 10, early prelim 6. Okay. What time's the wedding, Alex? Do you have the invitation handy?
No, I do not have the invitation, Harry.
Let's say the wedding is at I think the ceremony's probably around dinner time, right?
Hell no, dude. What wedding have you been to that it starts at dinner time? Every wedding starts like lunch.
All right, listen. When he gets here, we'll be able to ask him. It would be embarrassing if he doesn't know, so maybe we won't put him on the spot, so I don't have to do any editing. But it's like, okay, so my theory is by the time the early prelims are starting, which we can miss a few of those. The reception's well underway. We're grooving through the electric slide. We're doing the cha-cha slide. We're doing, all sorts of good steps. Oh, Dan's here. Perfect. We can ask him. Danny the Batman. Wedding.
Oh!
He's
fresh
here.
Haircut.
Live!
Haircut. Fresh off the heels of UFC Fight Night. Strickland versus Abbas Magomedov. Danny the Batman is here. We're well into our recap. We're telling everybody it's 4th of July weekend. Happy 4th to you.
Happy 4th to you and you all as well watching. Woo! Gonna be a good one. Gonna be a good week.
Happy Independence Day. Dan, what time is your wedding?
Oh, gosh. Are you serious?
Well, we're looking early prelims start at 6, so we're just doing math here. We're just doing math because it's a big card. It's UFC 290. It's Volkanovski versus Rodriguez. We've got 2 title fights on the line. And I was just trying to tell the public, like, a little glimpse. We usually save stuff like this for the Patreon. Which, by the way, I told the audience, I said, anybody who signs up for the Patreon from now until the end of the month, so all of July, it's a wedding present to you. You're getting that money directly. No.
Oh, whoa. Wow.
So anybody who wants to be a fan of Dan, you say you're a fan, you ride Dan's.
Here my fans are.
then you can sign up for the full year. That'll give him $100 in his coffers for his wedding, for his new life. So that's how you can support Danny the Betman this month. It's Danny the Betman month in July.
Thank you.
UFC 290 is coming up this weekend. We obviously did our full card breakdown last week. We're going to give you a breakdown for UFC Fight Night Holm versus Bueno Silva, which is 2 Saturdays from now. My friend who's getting married the weekend after, Dan, is a lot more considerate. He had his wedding on Holm Bueno Silva. I don't care at all that I'm missing that for his wedding.
No, not at all.
But Dan, UFC 290, we're going to have to
A little bit Bridezilla-esque, Dan. I
It's a
will
little
say that.
Let me say this. Number one, I'll answer your question. 6 o'clock prelims. This will be way post ceremony. So you'll be at a table. It won't be rude at all. You can just watch.
No watching at all. And honestly, I'm going to be locked in. That's my present to you, is that honestly, I've thrown a lot of cards down the toilet in my day. I believe it was UFC Carwin versus Lesnar. I had a big college, high school party that I had to go to that night, and none of my friends wanted to buy the fight at the party. I couldn't. My
Right.
skills weren't powerful enough at the time. I was a sophomore in high school. I was kind of the young guy at the party. I couldn't sell everybody on it, so I bought it. I TiVoed it at home, and I left it on, and I went and I watched it on Sunday. Not the same. GSP versus Dan Hardy, Carwin versus Lesnar. Not the same at all. When you're watching a boring GSP leg hump fest for 5 rounds, and you're sitting there you guys want to fast forward? Let's fast forward a little bit. It's there's no then you're fast forwarding through the fluff. There's no skin in the game. It really takes away from it. You forget how much anticipation is what they're selling, right? Anticipation is the golden word here. So a lot of anticipation this weekend with Volkanovski versus Rodriguez. Guys, if you're wondering why I'm wearing a Jim Morrison shirt, it's because I had a vision last weekend. We're going to break down UFC Fight Night Strickland versus Abbas. If you were tailing my open bet sheet, you had some winnings there. I wasn't able to update it because, as we told you, Alex and I were at the Orioles game with our family. We had a little family outing we had to do. So we were at the O's game, and we were watching the fight on our phone. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of wins, a lot of losses. But ultimately, at the end of the night, I was in enough of a haze from a day of partying that I sat on my couch in a stupor. And much like Jim Morrison, who, if you know any of Jim Morrison's lore, you'll know that in childhood, a Native American came to him in a vision. Well, I was sitting on my couch, and I wouldn't lie to the audience, guys. Dan, I wouldn't lie about this. If my skin looks pale white, it's because this is coming from the heart. This is the absolute truth. I'm going to save this for the Patreon when we do our recap. But when it comes to the main event, Volkanovski versus Rodriguez, we're going to go through that whole card again with a fine-tooth comb in the Patreon. We give you the first breakdown for free, the early breakdown for free, then the fine-tooth comb revision of the card is going to be the updates for fights like Jack Della Maddalena versus Sean Brady that's now changed up. We got to give you the updates. So that's going to be in the Patreon episode. That's where you can get it. But in that episode is where I'm going to detail my vision. I'll give you a little preview. Through the smoke, through the haze, I saw the outcome of Volkanovski versus Rodriguez. I saw a hallucination, if you will, a vision of what's going to happen in the main event. And when I was in college, I also had another vision, and it was a Mayan vision. It was Aztecs. It was hieroglyphics. It was pyramids. It was Quetzalcoatl. It was Alex. What's the other one? Montezuma. It was
Montezuma.
It was what's the other one though? The Titicaca. Right.
Tenochtitlan or whatever.
There's a lot of them, but I saw through. I closed my eyes and I saw I had a vision, and it was all this Aztec imagery. So since that day, I've always believed that I've had maybe Aztec roots, because I don't know a lot of my genealogy. I've never spit in a cup. I've never done the 23andMe. So I thought maybe I have a little bit of Native American or Aztec or I don't know, indigenous in me, right? Because why did I have those visions that day? And then I'm sitting there on what was it, Saturday? I'm losing track this weekend. It was Sunday, Saturday. I'm sitting there.
Lukey Warren.
And all of a sudden, it's late in the evening, and it comes to me, and I grab Alex. I say, Alex, I have to tell you something. I know that we picked Alexander Volkanovski last week, but I saw a vision of how that fight ends through the smoke. And I don't want this to be true. Alexander Volkanovski is my short king. I'll just say it here, guys. All right. You know what? Subscribe to the Patreon if you want to support Dan this month. It's Dan's month. We're going to give him all the money that comes to the Patreon this month. But I want to tell you guys, I'm going to do an addendum to my pick last week. This is too important to save to the Patreon. I have to give this to the full YouTube audience. I was laying on the couch, and a Native American man came, and he opened his mouth, and out of his mouth came a bunch of smoke. And in the smoke was a vision, and the vision was Yair Rodriguez, and he kicks Volkanovski in the head. His shin goes against his bald head. A little bit of it hits his nose and breaks his nose. It just absolutely, like a katana blade, just perfect angle, 45-degree angle. It just absolutely slices through his bald head. And I saw this, and I was like, no. And the Native American man, the smoke went back into his mouth, and he said, I'm sorry. I tell you this not to hurt you. I tell you this because it's the truth. And he disappeared. And I saw Yair, and he was on top of it, and he was going like this, and he was in triumph. And Volkanovski was going, no, and he could not accept it. And I saw the whole vision play out. Now, do with this what you will. I wore the Jim Morrison shirt to illustrate since I was about this. I'm switching my pick formally, and I'm doing it publicly here. I'm not doing it just for the Patreon. I'm going to do it. It's a main card pick. It should have been given to the free YouTube audience anyway. It's a main card pick. So I'm giving this to you in an act of good faith so that you will just subscribe to the Patreon anyway for Dan. I'm giving you it as an act of good faith. Please take me seriously, guys. I love Alexander Volkanovski. No one wanted him to beat Islam more than me. No one wanted him to just triumph and be a 2-division champ more than me. I love the man. But I saw the vision, and he's going to get kicked in the head by Yair Rodriguez. I bet Yair Rodriguez by knockout plus 600. I made the bet. Plus 600.
I am incredibly interested in the card now. Now I really want to see this main event just to see, how the elucidation comes into fruition here. This is incredible.
Let's hope that Brandon Moreno and Pantoja can go all 5 rounds. That'll push us deep after midnight. By that point, all of the weak links will have fallen asleep, right? And then those left standing, where there's a will, there's a way. The fight will appear. It will manifest itself in some form or another. It'll manifest. Yeah. Even if it's me just reloading Tapology while I'm having fun dancing the night away and seeing what happens, I mean, that's enough for me at this point. I know how to imagine. There was a time in my life where I would literally read what happened in the fight. I'd read the play-by-play. There was a time when I had to do that because I couldn't watch the fight. I was doing something at the time, but I could read it. So anyway,
let me say this: I got to run and grab a charger real quick. But before I do, UFC 290, and this is a little preview for the wedding, not only for you guys, but for the audience as well, the YouTube audience. UFC 290 is going to get a brief mention in the vows. So Triple P boys and the UFC gambling community will be represented at the wedding in some capacity. A little preview for you.
Dan, you cannot give out your locks on the stage, okay? As much as I love you and as much as I'd love that, just don't give out your locks. Don't give out your picks.
All I'm saying.
Exclusive for the Patreon audience.
That's all I'm saying. Now let me run, get my charge. I'll be right back.
We should take all the cards at the wedding and gather up all the money and bet it all in Bo Nickel.
That would be great.
Or Yair by knockout.
No. Okay. We got to get on with this because, I also had a vision that night as well, and it was leading up to the Sean Strickland versus Abbas Magomedov fight. I suppose we could start recapping that maybe instead of talking about your hallucinations, you dope.
You had a vision. Okay, yeah, you had a vision that Demir's Magulov was going to win. How'd that go for you?
I didn't have a vision about that. I had a vision about Sean Strickland winning, and I told you about this. I said, this man is far too racist to not be good enough to beat this guy.
That's exactly. You know what's funny? That's exactly what someone else said. They said if he is for somebody who says anything like he says, you have to be able to fight because you're gonna encounter fights saying things like that in your life.
Yeah, and I knew that the PFL dropout, the guy who couldn't even.
I wouldn't say he's racist anymore, Alex. I mean, he's definitely reformed. Every single time he goes into a press conference, he says that he's reformed and he denounces the way he used to behave and things. So I wouldn't really, say
you
that.
know what I mean. I love.
Somebody, I would say more inflammatory is kind of the word you were.
Yes.
Inflammatory things now.
A mean guy, just a not a nice guy.
He came out and said that I'm not even going to repeat the things he says because I don't need my audience to have a time clip of me saying it necessarily. Right?
Exactly.
But so here's the thing, dude. I have to blame lack of focus. That's all I can blame it on. Anytime that I'm locked in and I'm sitting at my couch, and I try to stress this to my loved ones, like how important it is that on Saturdays I'm home with my laptop and the TV on and I'm watching the fights and I'm not interrupted and I don't even and they don't understand. They think
They
I'm playing.
don't understand.
Then,
Parents just don't understand.
2 weekends ago, 2 Saturdays ago, you throw $36 down, you win $2,700 on a 7-fight parlay with 2 underdogs, and you go, hey, do you see that I just fucking got a month's worth of rent in one fell swoop, betting on UFC over a few hours on a Saturday? It's like, just because I had the opportunity to focus and put myself in a no-lose scenario through hedging out and making sure that I was, aligned when the time came. But, once I'm incorporating outings and family visits and drinking and visiting and fun having, you gotta understand that on a long enough timeline, you're gonna bust if you're doing that. And that's what Vegas counts on. Why do you think they have Cirque du Soleil and the dancing people with the feathers and all the things to distract you, the flashing lights? Because they want you having fun. If you go in there looking too militant, too disciplined, too fucking cold, guess what? They're going to kick your ass out. They're going to pull you into a back room probably, Like, that's why on the movie 21, they had to appear like they were having fun and drinking and doing their thing, because they know on a long enough timeline, if that's what you're doing, if you're there to do that, to get distracted, to have fun, not everybody's Babe Ruth. Not everybody can sit there and not everyone's the drunken master, right? That's why me and Alex have always valued, I think, the drunken master technique, because you have to be able to perform at all times, right? I love the quote. Who was it that said this? Look this quote up for me, Alex. It was a wrestler. It was either Dan Gable or it was Cael Sanderson or it was John Smith. It was it was written on a wall in one of the wrestling rooms. It said, "On my best day, I can beat anybody. On my worst day, I can beat anybody." That's the mentality. Like, all these people who are like, and that's why, guys, you come on the show, you watch us week to week, you see me say, guys, I'm off the wagon, I'm on the wagon, I'm going through a period of keto, I'm going through a period of sobriety, of discipline, of push-ups, of this, of that. And it's like, I always dance with it because I don't want to have to be, I want perfect to be tough, right? I want to be able to just perform anyway, even if I am eating cake and even if I am drinking beer. And if you know what I mean, Dan? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I'm trying to look up this quote. I'm getting nothing, but I will continue to pursue. Are we talking about your relapse in Baltimore this past weekend?
Oh, to drinking? Well, it was planned. I said that I was probably, I did drink, and I said the lack of focus and it prevented me from hedging out appropriately going into some of the fights and cashing out appropriately into some of the fights. So I was not able to secure the bag, but if you were tailing my open bet sheet, you probably were able to at least grab hold of a couple solo prize winnings with Romanov. You saw that I unloaded a lot of clips on him. We won there. I even had a solo bet on Nurzulbov, the opponent of Ferreira. Even though I picked Ferreira on the podcast, I threw him on as a solo play to kind of hedge against some of the parlays that I had Ferreira in, because I saw how tall he was. I was like, God damn, I didn't know this is the sizing difference. But overall, the picks I got correct. I got Strickland correct. I got Dawson correct. I got Morales correct. I got Fakhretdinov correct. I got Rosa correct. And I got Brito, Romanov, and Brenner correct. Now, I was laughed at when I picked Elvis Brenner last week, but I told you guys, I said he beat Zubair Tukhugov when he was a gigantic underdog, and he's going to beat Garam as a gigantic underdog. And I think we can say safely now, guys, Garam is a busted prospect, and Garam stinks.
No, what are you talking about? He was doing great during that fight. He almost had it finished
in the first round, and he got knocked out in the third. Where was he doing great? Because I must have looked.
He almost finished him in the second round.
Finished him in whatever round it was.
And ended 1-0 during that time. I don't know. I must have missed it, but I'm just telling you, dude, that if you're coming in saying the shit that he says, that he's a samurai and he's kicking and he's like, I guess my point is it's almost like when you try that hard and have no results in the octagon, it's like the same kind of Darren Till shit, right? Where like we're always expecting because of the buildup of all the pre-fight stuff, and then it ends up with a whimper, not a bang. You know what I mean?
Listen, all of his fights, he's putting out output, he's putting out volume, he's putting strikes and combinations together. He's fighting amazing opponents. He's putting Gamrot and whoever else.
It's amazing in hindsight then, because he fucking was a plus 800 underdog. Or whatever he was. I'm just saying,
Dan, my
700, whatever it was.
My biggest takeaway from all this, I was telling Luke in the stands at Camden Yards. I said, fucking Khamzat Chimaev, he's a hammer and he's not a nail, and he hates being a nail, and that's why Gilbert Burns almost beat his ass that one fight. he can only be the hammer. He cannot be the nail. That's why he surrounds himself
Like
with
Abbas Magomedov as well, right? It's a lot of the Russians. All of the and hey, say what you will, but it's a lot of the people who come in with this Russian bully kind of padded record from a time, when their managers getting in fights in Russia that are fucking easy guys that are coming off their bar stool and out of their taxi cab. They come to America, and yeah, when things are going well and they're dominating, things are going well and they're dominating. That second round starts and they get a little pushback, it fucking melts down, right? And I mean, even the GOAT of that area, Khabib, is untested in that arena. Like he never stuck around long enough to find that moment of adversity necessarily. There was no fight that he had where it was like, oh, Khabib's really. He didn't have his John Jones versus Gustafsson moment. He didn't have his John Jones versus DC moment where John was like kind of technically forced to like reckon with a new quandary, right? It's like no, he just kind of was an exhibitionist, right?
And I mean the combined
until Fury came along. I mean, how many examples are there?
The combined record of all of his opponents was like 60-45 or something.
The fight doesn't begin when the bell rings. The fight begins the moment you face adversity. That's why a fight is different than an exhibition. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's the Ultimate Fighting Championship. You know what I mean? If you're going to define it as a fight, then it begins once you face adversity. Khamzat Chimaev, Guram Kudlikeze, the Klitschko's. It's a lot of examples of, and no one respects Russians more than me. I fucking love Russians. I'm just saying that in professional
brother, he's from Georgia.
Georgia. All right, you get what I'm saying though. I'm saying the that region, the Caucasus Mountain region.
I got you.
The training style of that is what I'm really speaking to, which is this iron will, this mental unbreakableness. But the second, what I'm trying to say, I guess, is when your psychological makeup is surrounding this unbreakable will and this like fortification of like your mentality. The key to beating that is to bully back the bully and to push on that and to challenge that and break that and give that a fight so that now they have to accept, oh, I've actually gotten my fucking nose broken in this fight. Gilbert Burns can hit hard. Shit, it's hitting the fan a little bit. So then things don't begin to unravel in the positive way. They begin to unravel negatively. And even if, he still won that. I mean, I'm saying no one's here saying Khamzat's a bitch. I'm just saying like the key to having success against these guys is to push back. That's the point. Don't let them just bully you and steamroll you and get going on their I cannot be stopped mindset,
And that's a hell of a good life lesson as well, especially for our younger viewers. Don't let a bully just dictate your life, right? Get back in there.
But some bullies you can't bully back. You should just do what Sun Tzu said, which is fight your enemy where he is not. Meaning don't fight, run, escape. Don't be there. Don't be there. So anyway, Brenner, Romanov, Brito, Rosa, Fakhretdinov. I mean, let's talk about these a little bit. Romanov was my big play. I was walking into Camden Yards at this point to watch the game, and I had a whole bunch of ammo in my bank account. It allowed me to he actually fought before Brenner, and it allowed me to actually to bet individually on Brenner throughout that fight when he was having success and win even more money. Fakhretdinov beat up on Kevin Lee. As soon as I saw Kevin Lee coming in with 2 knee braces, I wanted to put all my winnings that I had at that point on Fakhretdinov, but I said, Luke, you're drunk. This is irresponsible. I can only say that to myself a few times before eventually I, don't listen. But luckily I didn't do it with Ferreira or Bonfim or with Gatto. I did do it with Yana Santos when I saw her beating Rosa a little bit. I did bet a little bit on her and lost some there trying to hedge. Moraes should have just pushed all the chips on him, but I parlayed him with Moraes Dawson. And by that point I was so drunk I didn't choose Strickland, who was the guy that I picked initially. I convinced myself he was going to lose. So, shame to me. 3 out of 4 should be certified. Brito, Bonfim, Moraes, and Strickland. Bonfim, the only solo loser. Hey, Benoit Saint Denis really went in there and did work, huh, Bivin?
Yes, he did. Joe Selecki's potential opponent. We'll see if we can run that back. That'd be a hell of a fight. A little bit of revenge for Lukey on the Bonfim brothers. Let's see if the next Bonfim, who I think fights in 2 weeks or so.
I mean, it busted a lot of my parlays. I don't know how much it was revenge for me. I mean, I would have liked the Bonfim brother to win. I bet on them.
The Bonfim strike back again, man.
But by the time Gatto and Ariane Lipsky fought, I kind of had a lot of plays with Lipsky and even bet a little bit on her and parlayed her a little bit later on. I kind of live, I was kind of thinking Lipsky could get the win there. People say she robbed her, but hey, whatever. It's like going to be a lady fight. You want to have value on those underdogs, right? Mariah did the damn
Oh.
thing, looked great doing it. Dawson
Can I-
did the damn thing, looked great doing it. So did Strickland. What can we say?
Real quick, you guys probably didn't hear the broadcast, but early on, Michael Bisping and Laura Sanko were commenting on the flexibility of Guram when he was doing, he's in the rubber guard or whatever. And so Laura Sanko challenges Michael Bisping and says, bet you can't, stretch like that. And he says, yes, I can. I'm a former middleweight champ. Blah, blah, blah. And she was like, yeah, I don't know. I'd love to see it. He's like, I'll kick you in the head. He's like, I'll kick you right upside. I was like, oh my God. I don't know if you can say that. It was great.
That's hilarious. Well, I think he was probably saying that takes flexibility too.
No, I understand the concept of what he was saying, but it was, you take a step back. It's like, he just said he'd kick a woman in the head.
Well, no one quite deserves it more than I'm just kidding.
When it comes to the wrestling, when it comes to them getting in the wrestling ring, there's nothing up there. They're all oatmeal north of the eyebrows. They're all.
I'm just kidding, but Laura Sanko does get a little too
Preachy.
frisky with these MMA champions like DC, Chris Weidman, and also Michael Bisping, obviously.
James Krause.
Well, wait, we're not talking about that, Luke.
Oh,
I honestly don't even know who those people are.
But yeah, the hills
When you look into it,
the hills I died on above all else were Bonfim and Damir Ismagulov. At the end of the night, I had a couple guns left in the bullet, and I put $100 on Michael Morales, Damir Ismagulov, and Sean
Get
Strickland.
Dawson on the podcast. So me and you, we really need to go to a meeting, I think, because it's like we had a little too much fun. We got a little too giddy, and you just wanted that value on the underdog, same as me with the bus, I guess. I don't know what it was. I mean, I don't know.
I didn't pick Dawson on the
I had a vision
podcast.
for at least I have here, I have here that you switched to Dawson. You and Dan both had his Magulov the first week, and then you switched to Dawson. The
Oh,
second.
you know why? Because it was the last fight on his contract, and you told me that, and then
Yeah.
I realized that. Yeah.
yeah. By the way, fellas, no pictures of Camden Yards for your boy? What was
Alex,
that about?
Alex, oh, dude, Dan, we'll talk off air about the day. It was, first of all, there was like a thick haze in the air, the particles,
The Canadian Fires?
Yeah, it was.
Rearing their ugly head again?
It was also like 90 degrees and humid, and the crowd was crazy, and we were navigating a crew of like 20 people.
And damn, with this new Daggum pitch clock, I go up to grab a couple glizzies, and it's the third inning. Just all of a sudden. Like,
also, yeah, it was like the seventh inning before I knew it. They were not selling any more beers. It was crazy. We were like before I knew it. It was kind of a fast day. It was really snuck up on us. And then
not what you want from the ballpark. Personally, I'm not a fan of the pitch clock. I think they should do away with it.
I've been to baseball games my whole life, and I'm not even the biggest baseball fan, but I've always had a good time. And I'd say like that really felt less like a baseball game, more like a fucking trip to the mall. It was yeah, the pitch clock experience. Have you been to a game recently?
Not with a pitch clock. No, not this year.
Yeah, maybe you should go, Dan, and give us your review. I'd love to hear it because it was not the experience I'm used to say the least. I mean,
Dude, it ended in like 2.5 hours. I'm used to.
We got there 2 hours before the game started, and it still felt like it flew by.
Yeah. And, I'm used to guys scratching their nuts, spitting their tobacco out, chewing some bubble gum, some on-field antics. A couple of guys, they wear their glove as a hat. I don't know if you've ever seen this one.
Follow what was going. I couldn't even pay attention, honestly. It was going so quick. I was like,
and
geez.
It hurts the batting, I think, because the game ended 1-0. I mean, I guess you could say the opposite about the Phillies game. They had like 30 runs.
Yeah, what was that game recently? It ended like 52-2 or something, right?
Wow, that's brutal. 1-0 at the ballpark. It's hot. You're
hot, dude.
you don't get a chance to get the beers you want. That's brutal.
Well, no, we had plenty of beers. Let's say that. That was because we were ordering them 3. They had that's the one thing. They had a lot of beer vendors and the one beer vendor was just coming right back to us like every 2 seconds.
Yeah, he knew his hot ticket. He knew where he was going to make his money.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's move on. Alex had the best night, 9 out of 12. I had second best, 8 out of 12. Dan took a bath, 5 out of 12. It's really an race here in season 4.
9 out of 12, dude. I mean, I feel like you're keeping track of this wrong, or I just
you got wrong. You got Garam,
yes,
Yana Santos, and Ismael Bonfim, the trophy certified one that was wrong.
Ismael Bonfim. What about Ivana Petrovic?
She lost.
Didn't pick her.
All right.
No.
I got to start getting drunk on the podcast more often.
You went 9 out of 12. You had your best night all season. You're 43 out of 81. One pick behind me. I'm 44 out of 81. One pick behind Dan, who's 45 out of 81. The pack leader still, but we have narrowed the race now entirely. 23 out of 39 Triple B certified picks, which brings those to percentage-wise this year season. Our season starts in May, everybody. So May 9th is when our season starts, and 23 to 39 picks in year 4. We finished year 3, 70%. We've had a little bit of shakiness entering year 4. Now we're 58.9%, almost 60%. So we're building back a little bit here. We've had a little bit of a nosedive at the start of year 4, at the start of the summer here, but
Luke, everybody wants to know one thing coming off the heels of last week's fight. One thing and one thing only.
Okay.
Well, maybe two things. Where does Kevin Lee fit into all this? Where does Kevin Lee fit now? And 2, is it or is it not true that you were up thousands of dollars and then lost it all betting more later in the night?
Oh!
I had a $300 bet on Romanov that from my $2,700 of winnings the previous week. I took $300 of that $2,700, threw it on Romanov at like minus 140. So that netted me like $515 in my account. I threw a bunch of that on Elvis Brenner. That brought me up to like $1,100. So at this point, I have
you hear that, Dan?
Account.
Yeah,
2 solo shots.
So at that point, I had a bunch of active parlays and $1,100 in my account. Then all my parlays went to shit with the lady that fought Dredd, with Bonfim, and that's it. Yeah, with those 2, all my parlays went to shit because the other 2, Ferreira and Gato, that I got wrong, I didn't have in a lot of parlays. So I rebuilt with Moraes, Dawson, and I fucking was drunk, and I didn't listen to my original gut pick, which was Strickland on both podcasts, and I decided to fade him and go with a bust because I was like, Luke, you can never pick Sean Strickland right. You never picked him correctly. You picked him this week. You're going to get this wrong. So I bet on him. So now going into the main event, I have a bunch of parlays that are offering me cash outs. I could have cashed out and still won like $1,000, but I didn't. And then, I got what I deserved, basically. Got what I deserved.
All right.
You're not a loser. It's all right. You've been doing well.
No, I'm fine. I mean, I didn't lose what I won the previous week, and I have a lot of bullets left in the chamber, and I have a lot of solo bets. I have Jolyn Turner, I have Driscus Duplessis. I have a lot of picks that are still, here for me. So
you're gonna go 1-1 on that.
No,
but we'll talk about that later.
I have successfully manifested. Me and Israel have successfully manifested Driscus to be the winner next weekend. So if you'd like to win money, understand that Israel Adesanya and me are both high-level manifestation warriors. We are communicating with the divine, with the masters, with Neville Goddard. We are ushering in a new era. Driscus Duplessis is going to win on Saturday, and so am I.
Did the shaman tell you that?
No, this has nothing to do with the shaman. This is
this is a different dude.
Well, anyway, I just want to say that, all 3 of us are now 55% accurate. It's anyone's race. Triple B certified picks are 60% accurate. We're going to get those up above 70%. I already have a path to get us to 80%. I have it in my mind's eye. I think we can do it in year 4. Let's work hard. Let's accomplish something. And let's bet on Holly Holm versus Mauro Bueno Silva. Easy fight card to call. 13 fight offering 2 weeks from now. We already gave you the picks for UFC 290, Volkanovski versus Rodriguez. If you want those, take a look at them. Full card, top to bottom, main card, and prelims. If you want to get the what's the word? Revision, redundancy,
residuals.
Yeah, if you want us to addendum, I don't know.
That's what you used to call them, addendums.
Yeah, we're going to add on the addendum picks, patreon.com/Parlay Pursuit. We're going to go through UFC 290 one more time right here, right now, after we break down this week's card or next week's card, July 15th, Saturday, Holly Holm versus Mauro Bueno Silva, top to bottom. This is a card we got to limp into, so let's start with Holly, baby, the kicker, the kick of doom. I have a picture of John. I got a picture of Holly signed too somewhere around here. Maybe I'll man, I wish I could dug that up. I should have had that here for this card. 15-6 Holly Holm.
Every time Holly Holm has fought since we've started the podcast.
Calm down. There's new viewers every week, okay? But Holly is 41 years old. And there's something that you say every time we have done this podcast when somebody's 41 years old and she's a lady fighting the UFC. Why don't you say it here? Why don't you say it now about the preacher's daughter? Huh?
Men age like wine, women age like milk.
And in the UFC, that often is the case. And really, it has to do with weight class more than anything. You don't see a lot of 265-pound women, and that's the only case where a 40-year-old has any success in combat sports. So really, it's less to do with gender, more to do with weight, I think, in that two 65-pound men are the only men that have seemed to have any success post-40 heavyweight division. There are no women's heavyweights. It's only 145, 135. So Holly Holm, 135, 41 years old. You don't see a lot of 41-year-olds in the bantamweight division in the men's division, right? So 31-year-old even is kind of old for that division in the men's weight class. But Mara Bueno Silva, 31. I don't know, man. What do you guys think? Jackson Wink versus Shoot to Box. The Shoot to Box fighters, they do well when you hit them. I mean, we saw that last week. We saw that with who was the Shoot to Box guy last week that they got the win?
Brenner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Brenner, exactly. Yeah.
So a
So
little bit of brunch, a little bit of dinner.
Joe Anderson burrito too.
So we got a Shoot to Box match. She's going to get a striking match with Holly, but it could also be a cage control match. I just have a hard time betting against anybody fighting a women's veteran if the veteran comes correct and is in shape. I mean, so many of these young girls blow fights against these old veteran ladies all the time. Like, I can't have any expectations. You know, what are the odds in this one? We don't know yet. They're not listed, but 69. I would say that Holly Holm, this should be like a pick 'em, right? So if you can pick a winner here, you're going to get a lot of value either way in the sense that this fight is going to be lined how it should be, I think, 50-50. So you pick a winner, you pick a method, maybe you can find some value here. 41 years old, Holly Holm, almost 42, 31, almost 30, 32, 10-year age gap. I got to go with the odds here, right? If you have a 10-year age gap, you're going to lose upwards of 70% of the time, I think. So I'm going to go, if it's a pick 'em line, I'm going with Silva.
Yeah, I'm going to contradict my normal pick in this type of situation where I just go with the younger individual. I mean, in reality, I am probably going to lean toward the favorite on all of my parlays just so I have a great cash out option, a great hedge play, as we always talk about. But I'm going to go with Holly Holm here, and I just think that, you know, if Marina Bueno Silva is losing to Manion Ferro, who has like a upright kickboxing, Thai boxing type style, she's going to kind of struggle with Holly Holm. Holly Holm can mix everything together really well. And Maria Bueno Silva also lost to the Playboy bunny, Marina Moroz. So I don't necessarily know what to think of her. Her wins are Lena Landsberg, Stephanie Edgar, Yanan Wu, Mara Barella, Dan, who was arrested for what?
Illegally trafficking in drugs, I believe. I don't know if that's an allegedly or if that's a closed case, but that was in the news.
She was suspected of it. Let's just say that. She was suspected of it. Happy
Man,
birthday.
we haven't talked about her in a while. She was a pandemic hero of sorts. She was fighting every weekend, it seemed like. We're just fading her and making money off her.
Shout out to Tapology, because they just told me that the South Jersey Strangler, Tim Williams, it's his birthday today. Happy birthday, July 3rd, the birthday of Tim Williams, the guy who gave me my blue belt.
Huh.
Yeah, so I'm going with Holly Holm. What do you think, Dan? Why do I always think it's Holly Holmes?
Larry Holmes. I don't know.
Katie Holmes.
Katie
A lot of
Holmes.
Holmeses.
Priest Holmes. I'm going to go with Myra Bueno Silva here. I feel like this is one of those picks. Everyone's going to go with Holly Holm. This is a zig when you really should zag. This is Elvis Brenner, Guram Kutaladze all over again. Bueno Silva, first of all, does have a couple quality wins here. A one, Jillian Robertson. Okay. Armbarring, the armbar queen. That has to be worth something there. You know, as Lukey said, we got a shoot to box lady who's not going to be afraid of the incoming fire coming from Holly Holm. I think, you know, she's going to be firing back a good amount of volume herself. The age obviously is always going to play a factor, especially when we're talking about, you know, this isn't 25 versus 33. This is, you know, Holly Holm born in 1981. Okay, a 10-year age gap. Silva actually throws more, one whole strike more per minute. So I think everything is, the math is mathing for me, right? We're going to go with Myra Bueno Silva here. I would love to know the odds, but at the same time, it's good to not know the odds, right? Keep the bias out of it. Just go what your gut tells you, what the stats tell you, and when the tape is telling you. For all that, for me, MBS.
And you know why, Dan? Because it doesn't matter what the odds are. It matters what's going to happen.
Wise man once said it. All right, so we're a little bit split on that pick. One of Lukey CK's favorite fighters, however, coming up in the co-main, we got the Iron Turtle versus Albert Duraev. Alex, Jun Park, Albert Duraev. Who we got?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of low on Albert Duraev after the Joaquin Buckley loss. And, Roman Kopylov is not very good in my opinion. But beating Chidi Nchukwi, I mean, Chidi Nchukwi was on a great tear and a great resurgence in his career, but he is a one-dimensional type guy. I think John Young Park has a lot more of a well-rounded game. His boxing is so smooth, so good. I don't think you're going to just hold down John Young Park. If anything, if memory serves me correct, every time John Young Park gets in the cage, he looks of the size of like a Gregory Rodriguez, where Albert Duraev looks a little undersized for the division. Am I off on that, Dan?
I don't know. I kind of have the opposite perspective. I feel like Park seems a little small in there at times.
Okay.
Maybe I'm misremembering. Let me get the official stats here as far as how big these fellas are. Duraev 5'11", Park 5'10". Similar reach as well. Duraev 75 to Park 73. Yeah,
I just feel like Park might be a little bit heartier. Maybe he doesn't have the definition that some of these guys have, but he's wide. He's stout, so to say.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying.
Okay, well, let me finish. You just got back, okay? You talk for 20 minutes up front of the show every week, and you can't let me finish.
It's not only when he wins every week or even comes close. So
I had the best record last week, and I was one pick away myself, Luke.
I'm not out here betting on Demirez Magulov after I convinced you not to the previous week, and you're standing right next to me, and I'm telling you, yo, it's Grant Dawson. It's Grant Dawson, and you're like, I don't know. I think it's the skinny, balding guy who looks like the guy in the Matrix that makes the keys.
Hey, well, maybe if you bet on the skinny, balding guy in the main event, you would have won. All right, so shut the hell up.
Abbas is balding.
All right, I'm going with John Young Park. I just think his boxing is going to be more crisp. He's a more well-rounded fighter, and he's just going to be able to control this wherever it is.
Yeah, I'm going to put Luke in a box here. Let's see if he triple P certifies or goes against his boy, goes against the Iron Turtle here. I like the Turtle as well. I like him in most matchups against these kind of mid-level guys. For me, unless he's fighting a top 10 fighter, auto bet John Young Park. As Alex said, super well-rounded. He's got finishes in the grappling department. He can strike his ass off. I feel like his defensive wrestling is on par with just about anyone in the division. He has more takedowns per minute than Duraev, he's the wrestler guy. He's the grappler guy. So if he could outbest him in, this guy's specialty, and of course, definitely outbest him in the striking, again, the math is mathing for me towards the Iron Turtle. So we'll see if Luke, who's been very contradictory these past couple of weeks, to his advantage, I'll say, see if he goes against his boy.
I'm going against him.
Wow.
It's going to be Albert Duraev. I love the Iron Turtle, and he'll tell you he's a boxer, even though his last 3 wins have come by submission with a rear naked choke, right? He beat Eric Anders by split decision. People cried about that, but he did beat Eric Anders by split decision. He got absolutely melted by Rodriguez, but that was his only loss. He also bullied Tafon Nchukwi in there, and I think a lot of his fights, he comes in, he's the Iron Turtle, right? Like he looks very unique, unassuming, but he's got 5 knockouts, 5 submissions, and 6 decisions. That's a Khabib kind of spread there, equal distribution across all methods of victory. He beats up on the the heavy-handed guys like John Phillips. Tafon Nchukwi beats him up. Power bar beats him up, takes him down, saps some of their energy. But he struggles against specialists. So you got Hernandez. He choked him out. Yeah, because Hernandez's jiu-jitsu swallowed him up. Rodriguez knocked him out because his striking could swallow him up, right? So to your point, Alex, the hardiness thing I'm not really seeing, but it's the skills. It's the trips that he's got with that South Korean judo style. It's that boxing he's got, that South Korean military style boxing. he's got some really good stuff there. And if you know anything about South Korea, you'll know that they actually all just got younger. That's right, because South Korea used to use the universal age where everybody had the same birthday, January 1st. So when you were born, you were 1 year old. Instead of being like 0, you're 1. And then you turn 2 on January 1st, right? So his birthday is in March, right? So that means that he was 1 in March, and then he turned 2. He just got 3 months younger. He's got 3 months younger.
Ooh.
A year and 3 months, so or something like that. Basically, he just gets a boost. He's like, whoa, I'm not how old I thought I was. I'm younger, actually. Like, that's good. That's a mental boost. That's positive. I like that. I'm still not enough to pick him, though. Because he doesn't have an advantage here. He doesn't have a wrestling advantage or a striking advantage. He's not going to be able to stop Drive from doing what he wants to do in this fight, I think. Or will he? Am I just being too harsh here? No, I'm not. Drive wins.
All right. You heard it here first. I feel like most people are going to be going with the Iron Turtle. Lukey, yet again, zigs when everyone else is zagging.
I'm zigging when people are zagging, dude. Sorry.
Dude, it's been working for you. So
no, it hasn't. I zigged when I should have. Anyway, let's move.
Zigged.
Okay. So we got Walt Harris coming off of 3 straight finish losses, 3 straight knockouts to Alistair Overeem, Alexander Volkov, and Marcin Tybura, taking on Josh Parisian. Some real right sizing here, right? Like, we're giving him an opponent now that it's like, okay, there's some questions around who wins this fight, even though there's a 6-year age gap, and we got one guy coming off 3 straight losses with double-digit losses in his career against a guy who, 34, but give him enough time, give him 6 more years, I'm sure he'll have double-digit losses as well. Coming off a loss to a pretty no-name guy, Jamal Puagas. Before that, KO win against Alan Baldo. KO lost to Dontel Mays. Split decision against Rock Martinez, one of Rock's only wins recently, and lost to Parker Porter. So Josh Parisian, safe to say he stinks. 2-3 in the UFC, 2-0 in the Contender Series, 1-0 LFA. Jamal Puagas didn't mean to say like he's a no name. He's obviously like decent. He's 10-3. He's 27. But I think it was his UFC debut, right? Yeah, coming off the Contender Series, that was his UFC debut. So, what do we do here? Walt Harris, the big ticket. Obviously, he's going to be at the limit. So is Josh Parisian, 6'5", 6'4", 79, 81-inch reach. I just feel like Walt Harris just wills this one into victory. Not that he's a better skillful fighter, not that he has a better gas tank, but not that Josh, you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. I just feel like Walt Harris just needs to win, and he's down 3 straight finishes, and it's like it's do or die for him. And I just think that he just goes in and just beats Josh Parisian, who's just a little too complacent,
Yeah, if someone's going to will their way to win, though, I think that might be Parisian. Harris will win with the knockout for sure. I mean, that's the only way he wins all of his fights, seemingly. I could kind of see that.
Sorry, not to interrupt you, but I really thought Parisian was the guy who got knocked out by Sergey Spivak or choked out by Sergey Spivak. Was that Jared Vendera?
They were the same.
It was.
They're the
They all
same
blend
guy.
in.
Nah,
Sean Parisian, Josh Parisian. Who's the other guy, too? There's another guy that blends in with all of them. Not Chase Sherman, but like Felipe Lins.
Nah, he doesn't blend in.
Well,
Parker Porter
blends with Carlos Felipe. Parker Porter blends with Josh Parisian, who blends with. There's another guy though, Harry Hunsucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh Parisian, Harry Hunsucker, and Jared Vendera. All 3
virtually identical.
All right, let's get through it quick.
All right, is it my turn?
I think it's everybody's turn.
I think
It's
it's
everybody's
Dan's turn.
Let's all just go at the same time.
Dan, who'd you go with?
Walt Harris.
I'm going with Parisian. F it. I'm going with Parisian.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna go with Walt Harris. I think I don't feel good about it, but I just feel like Josh Parisian hasn't fought the level of competition that Walt Harris has.
No one can feel good about this fight. No one can say, "Oh, yeah, I'd feel good either side of this thing."
If this was Sadiq Youssef, he would have skipped this one already.
Exactly. Shout out to Sadiq Youssef. We got to get him on the show. I mean, he could have us he can help us with our speed. You know what I mean? He can help us get the show done quicker because his picks are not only funnier and better, and probably more accurate, but they're faster. So it's like,
but he also doesn't make he doesn't make 6 of the fights. If 6 of the fights, he doesn't make a single pick. He's like, and then that's the next one. And then he goes to the next one. He's like, I wonder if they've realized I have not picked a single fighter in the past 4 fights.
shout out to Sadiq Youssef, Lloyd Irving product, who we always pick, who we've never not picked on the show. Shout out to Sadiq Youssef, Unprofessional Breakdown. Go follow him on YouTube. Tell him the Perfect Parlay sent you in the comments. We got to get Sadiq on the podcast. Anyway, let's move on. Guys, don't forget to go to the Patreon for Dan's wedding present. He is getting married this week. Dan is getting married this week. Make sure you sign up. We're going to give him all of the money. So don't just sign up for the month. Sign up for the full year, because if you sign up for the month and then you don't cancel in August, I'm keeping a third of that money. I'm not giving it to him. It's only going to go to him here in this month. Okay. Okay. Let's move on. Next fight.
Norma Dumont versus Chelsea Chandler.
Love this one, dude. Love this one. We know we love Chelsea Chandler. Came in there. Nate Diaz Army, right? Nick Diaz Army. Chelsea Chandler came in and wrecked house in her debut. It's hard to win a UFC debut. Hard to get a finish in your debut. Hard to come in 8 months ago against Julia Starolenko, KO due to ground and pound. Ended up in her guard, and this girl went Ronda Rousey, tried to armbar her. She said, bro, I'm from Stockton. I'm with the Diaz Army. I'm going to pull out of this easily and pound your face in. Did just that. Got the win. But she's taking on one of my favorite fighters in the world, Norma Dumont, who gave Carol Rosa, 4 last time out. Before that, beat up on Daniel Wolf. Only loss in recent memory, split decision to Macy Chiasson a year ago. Norma, the Immoral Dumont, no wins by knockout in the UFC. She's got 2 submission wins. She's got 2 UFC losses. Like I said, Megan Anderson, right cross in round 1, her debut. Not a good look, but kind of a outlier and anomaly. She beat Felicia Spencer. She beat Aspen Ladd. She beat Carl Rosa. This is such an interesting fight, right? I mean, I think that if you're going to be a Chelsea Chandler supporter, you got to ride or die for her here. She's going to come in as an underdog. She's going to be probably plus 220, plus 320, somewhere in that range. I think I'm going to go with CC, baby. I'm going to go Chelsea Chandler. She's going to want it more. She's going to bully her. She's going to smash her. No offense, but everyone's going to be high on Norma. They're going to talk about UFC experience. They're going to talk about pedigree. But Chelsea Chandler does not give a fuck, dude. Nobody told her. She didn't get the memo.
Well, I think Chelsea Handler, if she's like the Diaz Army, then she'll probably be not so great at stopping the takedown, which is Norma Dumont's whole game, right? So I could just see Dumont coming in there, being a blob, coming forward, taking some jabs to the face as she's coming forward, but eventually just lay on her, lay and pray for, a good solid 2 rounds there, picking up the split decision win. Handler will probably get more strikes in, but I see a lot of ground control time coming from Dumont. So although I do like Chelsea Handler, tremendous comedian and a pretty good fighter from what I can tell in her first UFC fight there, I think that's going to get her first UFC loss as well. So we'll go with Dumont. We'll see what happens.
You're at Chelsea. You have Chelsea Handler's book. Are there vodka to beat Chelsea? You like?
Yeah. I got a couple copies.
You're a big Chelsea Handler fan. I bet.
Dude.
I've never believed anything more.
The Queen of Mean.
I don't think that's her.
I honestly don't even know who those people are.
I thought that was Liza Ganelli. The Queen of Mean.
Yeah,
Yep.
it is.
Liza
All right.
Ganelli, you're right.
All right. I'm up, guys. I made a very, very, very bold proclamation.
Quickly.
Luke, you better cut it out. I made a very bold proclamation right before Chelsea Chandler fought last time. I said, ladies and gents, if you look at this woman's Tapology picture, we might have a new quadruple C on our hands. We might have a brand new Crimson Chin, and it ain't no Courtney Casey now. It's all Chelsea Chandler in this hoe. We are going with Chelsea Chandler, triple P certify Chelsea Chandler. No, do not triple P certify Chelsea Chandler. Only put her down for Luke and I. Sorry.
Okay, 2 for Chelsea Chandler, 1 for Norma Dumont. Dan's gonna take the the pick that everyone's gonna tell you to take. Oh, it's just like it's going to be Norma Dumont by decision, or maybe you'll get some people will say Norma Dumont by submission, right? But nobody will tell you that if Norma Dumont does get a win, she's going to try to get her first and only knockout win of her career, which would mean she's going to try to get them out and do the Donkey Kong, right? If she does that, maybe she gets that. The only thing I will consider betting is Norma Dumont to get her first knockout via mount if Chelsea Chandler lets her take her down to try to get like in guard and play guard and shit, but Norma just kind of is too much for her. Chelsea's got the flu, some shit. Norma gets to mount, starts Donkey Konging her. Chelsea does the Diaz thing. He's like, what? I was fine. The ref's like, no, you're ladies. I got to stop it early. That happens all the time. So that could happen. So I might take a sprinkle on Norma Dumont by knockout if it's like plus 1,100. But Chelsea Chandler, I think by knockout is what both might be, because these girls are going to come in swinging. But I think two people who also will come in swinging are the main card opener, Osman Azatar versus Francisco Prado. Alex, Osman Azatar versus Francisco Prado. I said Osman twice. It's Otman. The bulldozer, Mr. Yam Sandwich himself, who got yammed up by Fravola. I was so on him against Fravola. I thought he'd be able to get it done. I was very surprised to see Fravola still standing when the dust settled. But he did knock out Worthy. He's taken on, a guy who lost a decision against Jamie Malarkey in his debut, but put up a really good fight. Francisco Prado put up a great fight. He's 21 years old. He's 12 years younger than Osman Azatar. I think, dude, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. I think that Prado gets the win here. You got to go with the younger guy. Too stiff. He's stiff as a board. He's from Morocco for sure. But, I like my man Yusuf Salal, but I don't necessarily love Otman Azatar getting knocked out by Fravola and coming back in so quick. I'm taking Prado, making it quick.
If this lightning keeps it up, we're going to have to put a epilepsia disclaimer before the episode. Are you guys seeing the flashes? It's storming crazy. If I randomly disconnect, that is why. Yeah, another Crimson Chin here. I saw Prado and I fell in love. I think Otman has a bit of a chicken neck, a bit of a chicken jaw. He covers it up with a beard. I do the same thing. No disrespect. I'm going to go with Francisco Prado here, and I'm not going to be too heavy on this one.
I wasn't all that pressed with Mr. Prado. I think he's a little salty that the United States stole his favorite soccer star, some lame shit like that. We're going to go with Otman Azatar, okay? When this fight goes down, I will be 1 week into marriage with a Moroccan. So if Otman goes down, that's some bad sign for my wedding, my marriage, my relationship, my life. So I'll bet my life on this one that Otman's going to win. He needs it. He needs to.
According to Sean Strickland, you're marrying an American, okay? Because if she's Moroccan, maybe you and her can settle up in Morocco, Dan, okay?
Hey, according to him, I should be the only breadwinner, right?
Yeah.
That's not good for you.
Let's not take everything Sean Strickland said.
Everyone's
he's not great in America.
Well, let's not take everything Sean Strickland says serious.
You told the podcast Dan's the podcast historian, so last time I checked, historians get paid in dusty old books.
Check it out. Here's my paycheck right back here.
The old books all behind him.
Desperado. Okay. Let's move on. I don't know the rest of the words to that song. Sorry. Desperado.
So we're going to go 2 for Prado, 1. So Dan's kind of being a little... So here's what happens, right? I go 8 out of 12. Alex goes 9 out of 12. Dan goes less than 50%. And now he comes into the next week going, no, I'm not going to conform and just join the pack and pick correctly. I'm going to just double down and pick the opposite of them.
These are psycho picks. This guy is like a nobody in the UFC. Otman Azatar, he's on main cards. He's well touted, well liked, well loved.
Your problem is you're trying to be well loved and well liked. You're trying to pick all the picks. You're picking Park because you're like, yeah, we love the actor. It's like, no, but this is not when you pick him. He's going to lose this one. And then you're like, well, I'll pick Josh Breeson. No, of course you don't pick. This is where you pick Harris. Like you're going all you're pick. Oh, you're like Norma Dumont. We all love Norma, right? She's got a nice butt. It's like, no, Dan, Chelsea this week. Like you're trying to be loved. You're trying to be.
I'm not trying to be loved. I'm trying my best, man. I really am.
And speaking of nice
butts, are gonna win.
And speaking of nice butts, next fight we got the twerker princess, the twerker on the stage, Elaine Perez versus Ashley Evans Smith, the man beater.
And, Rebel Girl, she's got a medal record because it looks a lot like the medal hands, right? It's 2 losses, a little win in the middle, 2 losses, right? So This is the 2 losses. The horns are the 2 losses. And then the head is the little win right there in the middle at 36 years old from Lake Forest, California. Team Oyama. We all know they stink, right? Let's look at Team Oyama's roster. I think just something tells me they stink. Let's see who the best fighter at Team Oyama is. Okay. Turbo Perez, Alex Perez, 2 back-to-back submission losses, getting finished twice. It's a 37% chance he gets submitted in the UFC. You might as well go play roulette if you're going to go get submitted. But he finds a way to do it twice in a row. Who else? Who else? Cookie Monster. Oh, the worst women's fighter of all time. Louis Smolka, Uncle Creepy, Brent Primus. Team Oyama absolutely stinks. This is the worst camp ever. I'm fading Ashley Evans Smith for that reason. I will not get fooled. I will not get fooled at all. This is the worst camp of all time. This is the worst gym of all time. Humberto Banade is their best fighter. Is even in the UFC because he's got 3 straight wins. Let's see. Oh, of course he's not in the UFC. He's fighting Garbage Men or whoever in some. I don't know why I'm so annoyed right now. Anderson Dos Santos. He is not in the UFC. Okay, so yeah, they don't have a single good fighter in the UFC. They have some of the fighters that are the most like Carla Esparza. I mean, let's be real. Like, just lost her title that she had one of the worst title fight wins in UFC history back in May of 2022. So Team Oyama stinks. I'm fading them all the way. Ashley Evans Smith, you're done. You're going to lose this fight to Alan Perez, Alex. That's what you said. 8 years younger. MMA Masters. Yeah, she just lost to Steph Egger by submission.
Luke, don't come out here and start talking crap on the Saint Rob Emerson, please.
Like Rob Emerson. I bit my tongue there.
This is a good gym. We don't need to.
It's a bad gym. How about that?
We don't need to disrespect him. All right. No need.
The one title is Carla Esparza, Alex. Come on. That title should be revoked. We need, you know what I mean? That was nobody should have. When Carla Esparza and Rose fought that night, the title should have disappeared. It should have.
Wait, and that all leads back to Sean Strickland because didn't they blame that loss on him? Her and Pat Berry?
I think so. Sean should get that title.
Sean should get the title.
He prevented a fight from happening because it's not like Carla took the title. Rose just didn't win it or retain it, right? So the title should have floated up, and Sean, being the taller of the two, should have just been able to snatch it as it starts floating up, right? And then now that's his title. Sean deserves a women's title. He's pretty much the Andy Kaufman of the UFC.
Well, Ashley Evans Smith, or I'm going with Alan Perez. I have an emergency. I will be right back.
All right, so Alex's home is getting flooded, evidently.
Yeah, I wish.
Break out the corks, start plugging up holes. Here's what I'm picking up on. Lukey picks 2 straight Argentines, and his last pick was a switch to the German Abus Magomedov. We got a little Tim Kennedy finding Hitler action over here.
That's fucking illegal.
Lukey Kennedy over there.
No. I just listen. I'm picking Elaine Perez because I really don't have any respect for the Team Oyama gym whatsoever. Ashley Evans Smith is 6-5. Now she's gonna be 6-6. She's a lot older. She's a ton older.
Listen.
Trains at MMA Masters. It usually takes a beat for people to get with that system and get right. So yeah, she lost her last fight, but she's gonna crush Ashley Evans Smith. I don't care that she fought Fallon Fox. I'm cutting that part of the breakdown out that Alex even fucking brought up because I don't know how to navigate that on YouTube's terms and conditions, and I'm not getting the channel removed. So we're removing all of it. Ashley Evans Smith is going to lose to Elaine Perez because Team Oyama absolutely sucks. Tyson Nam, Azmat.
Well, hold on. Let me give it the pick. I'm going with Perez. Okay, go.
You're the one with the heart out. Okay. So, all right. Tyson Nam, Azmat Maxim, 16-0. Azmat Maxim is going to win. I don't care about Tyson Nam's momentum coming off of the, it's coming off of the fucking, what's it called? Ultimate Fighter, right? He was on the Ultimate Fighter.
Tyson Nam was?
Yeah, I think he was. Alex would be better to ask because he, obviously, watched it. But he's fighting guys like Fabricio Nunes. Maxim. Maxim's fighting, he's coming in with 5 knockouts, 6 submissions, 4 decisions. He's got opponents like Fabricio Nunes, 8-0, Alan Gabriel, 12-6, Flavio De Quires, 12-3, Michael Alaranjo, 7-3. So all of his opponents have winning records, except for the guys he fought. the first guy he fought was 1-2 when he was 5-0 at that point, or everybody else is 0-0, 0-0. So he's fought one guy with a losing record. A lot of people's worry with people coming in from these other promotions. It's like, who have they fought? But at the end of the day, I like the newcomer coming in. He's 28. Tyson Nam is 21-13, and he is 39. So we're going to have 9 years age advantage. Tyson Nam coming off a finish. That Ode Osborne win was really miraculous, really great. The Jerome Rivera win, really miraculous, really great. But in between that are 2 losses, and I think Tyson Nam a little too inconsistent. It's the shakiness you see when things start to unravel at a latent age. I think that it's not necessarily the fights that Tyson Nam can't do and perform in. It's the training camps, and one of these days he's going to come in with one squeaky wheel. He's going to get greased, and the person who's going to grease him is this week the undefeated Asmat Maxim. Catch the newcomer at good odds. Hopefully we can get him early. We're breaking it down early, but I'm taking the newcomer.
Yeah, definitely not going to be at good odds, but I'm taking him nonetheless. Undefeated Kazakhstani, they're taking over. Love this guy getting finishes at the low weight class. Always good to see. And seemingly some very good competition over there at Brave CF and other reputable organizations. So Tyson M, I've never been high on, even when he had that little knockout streak going on. Thought it was a little fugazi, a little fluky, low volume guy. I think our boy over here, Azamat, I believe is how, or Azat, I should say. I think he's going to be set up as the next big thing over down at the flyweight/bantamweight division. So simple pick for me.
All right. Next we got Carl Deaton III, the Anashibe kid. I thought they said the admonishable kid. The first read, and it's too far away and the light's too bright. Alex Munoz coming out of American Team Alpha Male. It's American top team that Carl Deaton is fighting out of. Team Alpha Male, Alex Munoz coming off back-to-back losses, hasn't gotten a win in the UFC yet. I think this is an opportunity for Munoz to get a win. His first opponent, I think on short notice, was Nazareth Hapcras, really good fighter. Luis Pena, split decision loss 2 years ago, hasn't fought since. Carl Deaton 4 months ago lost to Joe Selecki in his debut, kind of a short notice fight, had to take it. I didn't know that it was 2 years ago that he fought Luis Pena. That's way too long. I'm going with Carl Deaton III.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm going the opposite. We're going to go with Munoz, the guy that derailed Nick Newell. All right. So, he was a good fighter, all that considered. I think, 2 years off. I'd like to look into that. Is it injury? Is he getting his head right? What's the deal here? But really, this is more of a fade on Carl Deaton. Not a fan of what he brought into the octagon. I think there's a lot left to be desired. Whereas Munoz, obviously we've got 2 losses here in the UFC, but I think there's a little bit more meat on the bone that we haven't seen quite yet. So I think Munoz is going to be my pick. Only 33 years old, hitting the prime of his career. I think he's ready to rock and get that first UFC win.
Why hasn't he fought in 2 years, though? Why hasn't he fought in 2 years?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I want to know.
His opponent's fought 4 times since he last fought.
I'll look him up on Instagram. I'll follow him. How about that? We might get some information there.
Yeah, we'll break that down on the Patreon next week, but I'm taking Deaton for now just out of activity. Next, we got Gennaro Valdez. Let's just get this whole thing done before Alex even gets back. And if you want Alex's picks, you're going to have to go get them from the open bet sheet in the Patreon or see the episode next week when we release it. But Gennaro Valdez, Evan Elder, double E, Evan Elder 7-2, taking on Gennaro Valdez. Valdez is 31 from Tijuana, Baja, California. 5'9", 72-inch reach, taking on Killcliff FC, Elvin Elder. Deerfield Beach prodigy, 26 years old, 155 in his last weigh-in, 5'10", and a 71-inch reach. Elvin Elder, the phenom, is limping into the UFC, lost his debut by decision against Preston Parsons, lost his next fight due to a doctor stoppage 3 months ago. It was a cut. He's taking on a guy. This is a perfect fight. Great matchmakers. Contender Series guy coming off a Contender Series fight a year and 7 months ago. He knocked out Patrick White. Valdez is now coming in after getting knocked out by Matt Frivola and beat 6 months ago by decision Natan Levy. So 2 fighters who are winless in the UFC, back-to-back losses. Someone's got to win. The UFC clearly wants them both to get an opportunity to get right, and they want to be able to keep one of them at least, right? So This is going to be an interesting fight. I think that whoever wins this, it's going to be by decision. I think Evan Elder, if he's going to win, he's got to be prepared to go 3 rounds. But I think it's going to be the better grappler that wins this fight. It's going to be the person who can have better cardio. I'm going to go with Evan Elder. I know Killcliff FC is going to have him competent enough on the feet to avoid getting knocked out, put the pressure on him. I think his fight with Pressure Preston Parsons probably put a lot in his head over the last year, gave him a lot to think about while training. Didn't get to show it last fight 3 months ago because of that doctor stoppage due to the cut. So it's like, let's get in there and write that, get the bad taste out of our mouth. Give me Evan Elder.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Elder as well here. Valdez is super aggressive, leaves himself exposed to a lot, not only the takedowns, but the striking as well. I feel like Evan Elder, being with Killcliff, a gym that doesn't hold back, right? He's going to get a lot of good sparring rounds in there, whereas I think that's a really good stylistic training camp for a guy like Valdez who, if he's going to find success in the octagon, it's going to be not against a guy who's timid, but we were talking about guys who are hammers and bad nails, right? It would be someone like that, someone who's not good at being the nail. Whereas I feel like Elder, training at a gym like Killcliff, he's going to have a lot of exposure to that kind of adversity, that kind of scenario. So a little bit cleaner to me. Valdez, a little sloppy poppy. Evan Elder, not to be confused with Blake Builder, as I was a little bit earlier on when I was looking this up. But Evan Elder, nonetheless, for the win. We're in agreement somewhat now, Luke. We're in agreement.
Was it the first one? I mean, geez, we've had
a couple now. We've had a couple in a row. We've been in agreement.
Nice. Well, this is interesting. We got some crossover here, but we'll get to that later. Estilia Nunez versus some hard names this week, man.
Let me give it a go. We got
oh, sorry, no, it just said V, so I was waiting until it loaded. Estilia Nunez versus Victoria Dudakova. So Victoria Dudakova, hello. Hi, Victoria. Sorry, Dan. I'm a little caught off guard here. Why don't you take it from here?
Sure.
Red, right? 3 losses. 30 years old, 6 years older than the Russian Victoria. Hello. And Nunez, you like nothing about somebody who comes in and loses, and all they do is lose, and they haven't won at all in the UFC, right? She comes from one fighting championship, but hasn't won in the UFC. American top team Brazil, 5'4", 66-inch reach. I'm a little thrown off, guys. If you look at Tapology, you'll see that Victoria Dudakova, she's staring at me, and it's just making me a little nervous while I'm trying to talk about her opponent here. Her opponent who all she does is lose, where Victoria, all she does is win, right? I mean, every single fight Victoria's had, she's won. Every single contest she's ever been in, she's probably been victorious, right? Whereas Estilia Nunez has not seemed to be able to get it right in the UFC, and I don't like that. And I love when a fighter is 6 years younger because they win at a 66% rate. 6'6". I'm going with this blonde devil, the cutie pie, Victoria Dudakova, Russian sweetheart. She's an amazing person and undefeated in both amateur and professional, 6 foot. And did this work out for me last week? I had a sim pick last week. I picked somebody because I thought they were prettier than their opponent, and it didn't work out for me. But you know what? I don't learn. I do the same thing again and again, and I expect different results. I'm insane. So give me the girl coming off the Contender Series decision. I'm going to take Victoria. I'll take her anywhere. I will take her places far and wide if she would like, if she will accept the rose. Dan, you're married.
I hope she accepts your rose. I'm sure she would, Luke. You're quite charming. I'm gonna also go with Dudakova. All right. The reason being is her opponent, Estilia Nunez. I feel like a big hole in her game is the grappling. She was really manhandled by Carnelossi and Yasmin Uruguay. Now, Uruguay we're very high on, but Carnelossi, man, that's a rough way to go out. I feel like Dudakova, who is seemingly a pretty high-level grappler, should be able to expose the weaknesses of Nunez, who's bit of a sloppy brawler in my estimation. So as long as she can withstand the fire of that for the first couple of minutes and find an opportunity to, dip out of the way of a punch and get a trip takedown, something of that nature. I think she'll have a pretty easy time controlling her from there and looking for a submission. So Dudakova for the pick. We'll see what's going on with Alex. Any word on your brother, Luke? I mean, is he all right? What's going on?
I have no idea, man. He said it was an emergency. This is all I got for you.
Oh, I thought he was coming back on. All right.
Yeah.
We'll keep it rolling.
I don't know. Maybe a bear. You know, he's in the mountains. Maybe a bear, or the lightning caused a fire. Maybe the lightning hit a tree, and now the whole place is burning down.
Well, I'll tell you what. The missus and I were trying to have a chill day yesterday, watch a couple movies. We got tornado warnings. Like, we got one would be enough, right? Obviously, tornadoes not coming. We're fine. We got about 4 within 5-minute increments. They just kept coming, kept interrupting the movie, letting the movie roll, interrupting the movie again. It was ridiculous. I don't know what these people are doing in the public service sector.
Between the wildfires impacting the air quality and the tornadoes, and you see in parts of Arizona and Las Vegas, they have crickets everywhere. Just crickets. Look this up. Type in crickets Las Vegas on YouTube. Crickets all over the place. And I'm talking like, if you're afraid of bugs, like you can't even be there. Like you're going to lose your mind. And it's like, this is not the America that I was promised as a youth. This America is going to shit, dude. We need to fix this shit, guys. I don't care what we have to unite on, but we have to unite on one thing. And that's, this country needs to be livable. Okay. It needs to be, I need to not take my daughter home from a baseball game early because the air quality is bad. This isn't fucking Mexico City. I'm sorry. This isn't fucking China. This is the United States of America. We need to have at least decent air, okay? Because we don't have factories on every fucking street corner, do we? So where's the pollution coming from? I'm sorry, Dan. This is Patreon talk. But I grew up in a time period where we didn't wear fucking masks because the air is killing us, okay? And if the air is killing us and the water is killing us and the food's killing us, what am I to do? I'm not going to eat the crickets. In Las Vegas, I might eat the crickets. I might fucking get some chocolate fondue and some cheese fondue, and I will be picking them off my house and throwing them in just to get the free food at this point. But I'm a little annoyed. I'm kind of at my breaking point, Dan. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
I'm gonna come to your wedding, and as I told Alex at the beginning of the show, I'm gonna do a lot of question asking and a lot of listening, and not a lot of talk. It's not gonna be about me. And I told people, I said, if you watch the show, you know how hard that is for a guy like me to not make anything about himself. But I'm gonna stand up there. I said, if everybody subscribes, you're gonna get all the money from the Patreon this month that comes in. But if no one subscribes, I'm gonna yell, "I object" at the wedding.
Well,
if we get no new subscribers, I'm gonna yell, "I object." I hope Alex is okay. I secretly hope that he has something to light a fire under his ass. An actual fire might do him some good. Fire might do him some good. He needs a fire lit under his ass.
In his ass?
In his ass. Colby, thank you. Okay, let's move on. This is a great fight. Terrence McKinney, I hate him. He's taking on Nazim Sadikov. So funny, right? Terrence McKinney, somebody who hits the scene. I love him. Then his wicked ways, his evil pursuits, his dastardly deeds, I start to despise him. And now I full-blown hate him. And I'm going to hope he loses here. I'm going to bet against him here. And I'm going to take hate pick of the week, Black Wolf. The Black Wolf is going to come in and slay Little Red Riding Hood T-Rex. Coming in way too quick off a knockout. He got absolutely put to bed. And I know for a fact he didn't nurse that knockout properly because he was drinking alcohol, I think, that day, right? I mean, he was doing drinks with the guy, doing cheers. Oh, the guy that knocked you out. Yeah, he took years off your life. You're coming in way too quick, and now this guy's going to be able to knock you out way easier. Terrence McKinney, small mouth, chicken jaw, going to get knocked out by Nazim Sadikov, Black Wolf. Nothing left to be said. Longo Weidman, MMA, 5'10", Brooklyn, New York, not from fucking Spokane, Washington, which is part of the problem, not part of the solution in reference to what we were talking about earlier, which is this country getting better, not worse. So, if you live in Washington, act right. And, Terrence McKinney's going to get knocked out again. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I was kind of all gung-ho, ready to pick Terrence.
In this asshole.
You're kind of swaying me here, Lukey. I might go Nadim.
I was sitting here going, you hate Terrence McKinney, but you have to pick him here because he's going to get back on track because the UFC wants him back on track because Michael what's his name?
Chiesa.
Yes, that was his wrestling coach. So he's going to get a desk job too someday, and everybody loves his success story. And
They all hand you checks. Bing.
So it's like, I was like, you should pick Terrence here, Luke. You should do what your heart tells you. You should do the opposite. You know what I mean? Because you have your emotions involved here. And for those of you who don't know, I pushed a lot of chips into his direction when he was an underdog against Bonfim, and he gets melted. And then since then, he goes to war with the MMA guru, and he's all but dead to me now. I don't care about him at all as a fan, and we're gonna fade him when we can. And I wanted to say, but he's probably gonna win this next one because the UFC wants to get him right. But then I see his opponent, and I go, no, this kid will fucking cut through him like a hot knife through butter. Black Wolf's gonna fucking beat his ass. Like actually, he's gonna lose because this is way too quick. If he's even training 4 months after getting knocked out like that, that's a bad move. You need 6 months break, especially when you're young and you have the time. You gotta have a 6-month break. Just do jujitsu. Take a month, no contact, then take 5 months and just work on your jujitsu, and then come back hard. Do what Ian Gary's doing. Do what Patty Pimblett's doing. Do what any of these youngsters who just take time and sit and do nothing. Do what they're doing. I don't often advise it, but when you get knocked out, I do advise it.
Yeah. Let's go with let's make it a clean sweep here. I'm gonna also go with Sadikov, Nadim Sadikov. Hey, there he is. Everything all right, bud?
Oh yeah, perfect. What fight are you on? And
we're on Terrence McKinney, Nazim Sadikov. This is the last thing I'll say. I'm really off of like the whole angle of, the UFC is trying to push this guy. I don't think the UFC cares. I think they kind of look at these guys and say, look, whatever happens. The cream will eventually rise to the top. A star will be born, whether we intentionally make it so or not. These guys who really are fighters, who really are entertaining, they will naturally, of their own accord, make it to the top. I don't think they care about Terrence McKinney and, the 25 people that he'll bring to a show. Like, he's not going to be that big of a draw, no matter what his backstory was, how incredible, it is. I just think they're like, listen, he's a young fighter. This guy's a young fighter. Let's put them together. We'll see who's the better young fighter. And for me, that is Nazim Sadikov, New Yorker through and through.
Dan thinks the moon landing still really happened too, everybody.
What? What are you talking about?
Fucking you naive dude. Yeah, everybody. Hey, Dan, what else do you believe, Dan? You still believe the government has the best of intentions for you, Dan? Come on.
What are you talking about? You believe? The
UFC doesn't care about who wins or loses, guys.
They don't care when it's a low-level guy like Terrence McKinney at 155. Like, yes, they are putting thought strategically into the upper echelon fights, but they don't care about a guy. Listen, he's the third fight on a card for fucking Holly Holm and Myra Bueno Silva. They don't care about him. They don't care about him at all. That's why he is where he is.
UFC will help those who help themselves in a lot of ways. And listen, I do agree with what you're saying here, and I'm glad you said it. I just had to burn you in that way because it was funny. Let's move on. Because you're right. Because I do agree with you. The UFC will just let the chips fall where they may. Those people who think, how will they survive without X, Y, or Z? Guess what? They've been rolling on nicely without McGregor, Rousey, Lesnar, fucking anybody. Liddell, like they roll on quite nicely without anybody. So Masvidal left. Diaz left. McGregor left. Who's bigger than those three? They're gone. They don't even fight in the UFC anymore, guys. Are you still watching? Are you going to buy UFC 290's pay-per-view? I am. I'm going to buy it on my fucking cell phone. So in the bathroom at Dan's wedding, okay? While I'm pretending to take a dump, okay? So let's be real. Okay.
Get me up, babe. Just when I thought I was out.
Stuff like that anymore. We're trying to fucking go mainstream, guys. We can't use fucking stuff like that. You know what I mean? So let's move on. All right.
I'll go with Nazim as well.
Nazim. Trophy certified Nazim, the Black Wolf. It could have been you, Terrence. It could have been you, but guess what? You're playing.
Right. I thought you had a drop loaded up there. Next up, we got Austin Lingo.
No. Alex doesn't get that. Alex, real quick, just take us through where you dropped off, which was where were we? Like
Azat, Maxim, Luke's favorite magazine as a kid. I'll go with Carl Deaton, the guy who filled in short notice and fought Juan Joe Selecki. I'll go with.
You're not going to go with Nam, even though he was on the Ultimate Fighter with McGregor and Chandler?
He wasn't.
Oh. Okay, thank you. Because we were wondering if he was, and I was like, Alex will know the answer to this. Okay.
Why would they let somebody who was on the show fight before the season's over? That would spoil the show.
Fair enough. Okay.
Unless he was helping them train. Like, who was he helping train?
Deaton, I went with Deaton as well because Munoz hasn't fought in 2 years. Okay, moving on. Elder and Valdez. You can get back to us later. We're gonna go.
Yeah, I'll go with Deaton on that one. I that's the one I was hung up on, and you.
Sorry.
Assumed my pick.
He hasn't fought in 2 years, but Munoz does train at Alpha Male and had a close fight with Luis Pena last time. So I think it could be competitive.
Luis Pena stinks.
Yeah.
And then we got 2 guys coming in on 2 losses. Let's see. Natan Levy, Matt Frivola, D tier.
You look into these while we break down the next fight.
Nazim and Pressure Parsons.
Because now you're revealing that you didn't actually have any anything prepared. So Dan's not here. Great. Okay, so I'm on my own. All right. Either way, I'll take everybody through the next fight while you do your little research. What happened? Can you disclose what was going on, what the emergency was?
Yes, my partner got a flat tire, and we're a one-car household, so I couldn't figure it out.
Business partner from your law firm. Got
yes.
it. Okay, so Austin Lingo versus
my esteemed colleague.
I'm going to take everybody through the next one. Austin Lingo versus Mel Quizali Costa. So here's how it's going to go down, guys. We're going to look at this one nice and detailedly right here live in front of everybody, and then we're going to get Dan's take. But Austin Lingo 9-2. He's going to be taking on Milk Coffee, not Milk and Coffee, Milk Coffee, 26-year-old, 5'10", 73-inch reach, 3 inches over. Lights out Austin Lingo coming out of Dallas, Texas, off that submission loss to Nate Landwehr 2 months ago. Before that, beat Luis Saldana, beat Jacob Kilburn. This ain't his first rodeo. He's got many fights in the UFC. Yes, he lost a decision to Yusuf Salal, one of Yusuf Salal's only wins, even though Yusuf is really good and somebody we respect. But let's go with – I'm going to go with, Austin Lingo here. I'm going to go with Austin Lingo here. More UFC experience, better pedigree with Fortis MMA, and has better losses and hasn't been finished in the UFC. Nate Landwehr, Nate the Train finished him. What round was that, though? Let's take a look real quick. What round was that? Round 2, 4 minutes, 11 seconds. So deep into round 2. Got to get right here. Got to make something happen. Only other loss in the UFC is to Mr. Yusuf Salal, who we respect here. Got to make something happen here. Costa's the guy you got to do it against. A little nervous here because he hasn't won in the UFC yet. He's a finisher, and he took on a really tough opponent in Moises, but I think Lingo can get this one done and needs to. So I'm going to take Lingo.
I like me some Austin Lingo as well. If you want to put the camera on me, Lukey. Yeah, it's all good. I like Austin Lingo as well. I think he's had a tough run in the UFC, which will have him nice and seasoned for this. Not UFC debutant, but I mean, he might as well be. I mean, he was just choked out pretty quickly by Thiago Moises, so didn't see all that much to be satisfied from Miguel Caizal, however you say his first name, going into this. Whereas Lingo, I think he's got too many skills to, not have at least some sort of modicum of success in the UFC. So I see him having a grappler's delight, big old wrestle party in there. Austin Lingo, Fortis MMA guy, right? Fortis dude.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all big Fortis over here, but this guy's out of shoot the box, and they've been on a bit of a tear themselves. I'll go with Lingo.
Next up, we got Tucker Lutz taking on Melzik, the Gun, Bagdasarian. Glendale, California, Armenian. The Gun is taking on Reisterstown, Maryland's own Tucker Lutz. Top Gun versus The Gun. We got a guy coming off back-to-back losses, a decision loss to Pat Sabatini, and a guillotine loss to Daniel Pineda 3 months ago. Now, we just saw Daniel Pineda, I think, lose briefly, right? Somebody check that real quick. But I'm going to let you know that I picked Melzik Bagdarian against Quiblau. Quiblau dotted him up on the feet, choked him out, caught him quick, kind of snuck him. And before that, though, Melzik had a nice win off the Contender Series that brought him into a knockout win against Anglin and a decision win against Souza. So Brendan Souza. So, 4 months ago, lost. Going to want to prove something. Going to want to give Top Gun his third in a row. He's only got one win after back-to-back Contender Series opportunities to get into the UFC. He beat Kelvin Aguilar during the pandemic years and then back-to-back losses. But a decision loss to Bat 17 a year and 6 months ago kind of calibrates him at a pretty good fighter who can get shit done, I mean, it's going to be tough. 50% of Lutz wins come by knockout, 6 wins, 1 loss by knockout, 2 wins, 1 loss by submission, 4 wins, 1 loss by decision. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this one? It's kind of tough to predict.
Yeah, I always get Tucker Lutz, the Top Gun, mixed up with Govna.
Gavin Tucker. Yeah. That's what I was getting mixed up with a little bit too.
I don't know. I think Lutz can put some groundwork on him, push him up against the cage, be stronger than him. But I just think the Gun might be a little bit too fast, have a little bit too much pop for Tucker Lutz. Is he from Maryland? Oh my gosh,
Maryland.
Dan, you wouldn't even believe how many Maryland dumbasses I ran into at the Baltimore Ravens game, dude. There were so many just dumb idiots down there in Baltimore, and I don't really want to go down to Baltimore no more. I don't want to go down to Baltimore way.
I'm with you.
I'm gonna go with Melzik the Gun.
Did you have any offers to clean your windshield on the drive over? It's a big thing over there in Baltimore.
No, I don't stop at red lights in Baltimore. Never do. Never have. Never will.
Good on you. All right, back to the picks here. We got Tucker Lutz to Butts going up against the Gun. I'm thinking the Gun here. I like this kid Melzik. Every time he's in there, he shows some really, really clean striking in there. And like you said, Alex, very fast, a lot of pop. I think he's going to pop off in this one. I'm not a fan of Tucker Lutz. Nothing really is coming off the screen when I watch this kid. Whereas the Gun, Melzik, I think there's a lot in there, right? A lot of good striking. And I'm, dare I say, a knockout from old Melzik in this one. Maybe round 2 knockout is what I'm feeling. So we could triple P certify this one.
Yeah, triple P certified Melzik, Bagdasarian, the Gun. I'll take you through my picks top to bottom, main card and prelims, and then Alex will fill you in with a little bit more detail at the end after Dan gives his after me, and then we'll do triple P certified ones at the end. So first pick of the night for me at the top, let's start at the bottom. So I'm starting off, like I said, Melzik, Bagdasarian, Austin Lingo, Nazim Sajikov, Victoria Dudikova, Evan Elder, Carl Deaton III, Azat Maxim, Aline Perez, Francisco Prado, Chelsea Chandler, Walt Harris, Albert Duraev, and Mara Bueno Silva. The picks I like out of these, Prado, Perez, Elder, Dudikova, Bagdasarian. Those are the ones I'm like enjoying, I think. And Bagdasarian only because he's the first one. You can kind of like adjust if that goes awry. But yeah, Dudikova, love her to death. Evan Elder, Maxim, Perez, Prado. I would stop there. You know what I mean? That's your ticket. All right, Alex. Sorry, not you, Alex. Dan.
All right, top to bottom, we're going MBS, Myra Bueno Silva, Jun Young Park, Josh Parisian, Norma Dumont, Atman Azatar, Aylin Perez, Azat Maxum, Alex Munoz. We got Evan Elder, Victoria Dudikova, Nazim Sajikov, Austin Lingo, and Melzik the Gun Bagdasarian.
Alex, you there, buddy?
And when you look,
Alex.
Folks, sign up for the Patreon to get Alex's picks.
Alex, bro, dude, we got to get going, dude. What are you doing, dude? Well,
The bear is back.
He's back? No.
The bear is back.
Let's see. So I do know he gave all of his picks except for the Deaton fight, the Elder fight, the Dudikova fight, and the Sajikov fight. So those are what you're missing from him. Those are all prelim fights. But I do know that we all picked Melzik Baghdasaryan and we all picked Sajikov. So that's 2 trophy certified picks for you there. I took – did Alex take Maxim or Nam?
I don't
know. But I can tell you who's not trophy certified because Dan and I disagree on Duraev Park. I took Duraev. We disagree on all of the fights except for Perez, Maxim, and Elder, Dudikova, Sajikov, and Baghdasaryan and Lingo. But pretty much all through the main card, Dan and I disagree, starting with Prado and on up, with the exception of Silva. Alex, go ahead. Take everybody through your picks.
I got the gun, Melzik Baghdasaryan, Austin Lingo,
Trophy certified Austin Lingo,
Nazim Sadyakov, Victoria Dudikova,
Trophy certified the beauty queen Victoria Dudikova,
Evan Elder,
Trophy certified Evan Elder, Triple E,
Carl Deaton III. Okay. Azat Maxim,
Trophy certified Maxim,
Alan Perez,
Trophy certified Perez,
Francisco Prado, Chelsea Chandler, Walt Harris, Young Park, Holly Holm.
Okay, beautiful. So the trophy certified picks will stop with Perez. We got Perez, Maxim, Elder, Dudikova, Sajikov, Lingo, and Baghdasaryan. Those are your trophy certified picks this week. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trophy certified picks, lucky sevens. And through the main card, some disagreement, but ultimately check back with us next week and see how we reunite or disband further with the fine-tooth rundown of the card. We're going to go through it again. UFC 290 on the Patreon right now. If you want to see how this episode continues, if you like us, if you support us, you want to support Dan and his marriage, everything we get coming in this month is going to Dan as a wedding present. $100 is for the full year.
I think I'm going to take out my contribution to that. I just got a flat tire today. Sorry, Dan.
Fair enough.
I'm just kidding.
You better watch him at the wedding. He might not only be taking out that, he might be taking some cards and stuffing them in his suit vest at the wedding, too. I don't know. You might want to watch that. All right, so we're going to end the episode. Go to the Patreon, subscribe. Full year is $100. You get a discount for the full year. You get to get our open bet sheet. You get to get an extra episode. You get to get a full rundown of all of our picks listed out nice and neatly for you, including the trophy certified picks. Direct DM access to us, everything you want and more. DM me, let me know. I'll help you out. I love you. Thank you so much for supporting us, and goodbye. Good luck. Enjoy yourself this week, and enjoy UFC 290. We're going to break it down again, but if you are a cheapskate, we did it for free already. It's already in the YouTube. Go check it out. Give a like and a comment for us at least. Help us grow the show.